a couple weeks ago. She just opened it, and the box says daytime moisturizer. She opened it up with the nighttime.
Ask Ms. Carol to lead us in prayer.
I think we'll say the Lord's Prayer together today, if you would. Join me in prayer.
Our Father, in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Will you please join us in the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Four-way test, please. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendship? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Hi, Brianna. Thank you for joining us. All right, so I just wanted to recap or touch base on a few things, and we do have a wonderful speaker I'm very excited to hear from today. First, I wanted to welcome Angie. I know, I was like, she didn't put a bite in her mouth. Thank goodness. Angie Woods, she spoke with us probably about 6-8 weeks ago. She is, please tell me your job
I'm the
title.
executive director of the Augusta Levy Learning.
Thank you very much. And I know that Angie's going to be joining us here in Rotary, and we are just so grateful to have you. So thank you so much. And Randy, did you want to introduce your guest?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm the worst time.
Totally. This is Mary Youssef. She works at Altmeyer Funeral Homes with me. She is an apprentice, so we're trying to get her to kind of network a little bit. So she's here today to kind of shadow.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Guys.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so Dorothy received something in the mail, and I just wanted to bring this to everybody's attention. It is from the Sons of American Legion, Squadron 3, here in Moundsville, West Virginia. So it looks like we have donated to them in the past. They are having their 13th annual golf scramble on September 24th. And it looks like hole sponsors are $25 per hole, and they thanked us for our past sponsorship. Does anybody know what we have sponsored in the past? And if we actually maybe put a team together for this golf scramble? I'm assuming we just did holes. I was assuming we were just a whole sponsor.
Yeah, I think we just.
And it says that the sponsors may sponsor as many holes as they want. We can just fill out this form. Did we want to still support the American Legion here in Moundsville for their golf scramble? And how much do we want to sponsor?
We did one 2 years ago. I think they didn't have
Probably didn't have one last year.
We gave them $25 for the whole sponsor.
I move we do it again this year. That's a low price to get our name out there.
Right.
All in favor of a $25 whole sponsor? Anybody opposed? All right, wonderful. I'll go and get that filled out. Thank you. I'm excited to do this. All right, and then I just wanted to follow up briefly about the flag project that we talked about last week. We are going to move forward with that. I don't know if Nan had the opportunity to speak to John Marshall or send anything out.
They're on vacation, but I'll get.
Okay, I did have the opportunity to speak with Craig up at Grandview Park. This sounds terrible. I would almost prefer the school because of just the visibility and being right there on Route 2. I think just it would be a little more impactful. But Craig actually loved the idea, and he said if the school wasn't in support, he thinks right underneath the aerial park where the chain link fence is, going down that field, and we could, you know, if it was 25, we look awesome. But if we had 800, we can fit them there.
Well,
So,
I mean, think we would do that.
right. So just wanted to put that out there that, you know, the park would be honored to have that. Yes.
Just so we know that Troop 82, which is led by Tom Cook, has volunteered to.
Thank you so much, Troop 82, and thank you so much, Tom.
Sure.
So I'm assuming there's going to be another plaque presentation here very, very soon. So I also wanted to touch base on the lending library project that we just briefly spoke about last week. If you were not here last week, a couple other clubs have done those lending libraries, those stationary boxes where you just can donate books and anybody can take or leave them. I spoke with Craig. We had thought to do one up at Grandview Park and then one either at the riverfront or one of Moundsville's local city parks. Craig said he had plans to put 2 in the park. So if the Rotary wanted to do one, he was thrilled. He loved the idea. You know, he said we have full ownership to put our logo on it. And I just think that once again, we're getting our name out there with literacy. I had an idea, wanted to make sure we have the support of the group and see if we had any volunteers to make my idea come true. I was thinking of putting a donation letter together and sending that to, or actually taking that personally to Busy Beaver and Ace here in Moundsville and seeing if they wanted to sponsor one of the lending libraries and they could put their logo on it. And I was gonna ask, Stacy's not here, so I'm just putting this out there. You know, this is just a thought, but I thought maybe John can construct them for us if we got all the materials, and then us as a club would pick a day and we can get together and paint them and do our logo on there and do whoever else sponsored. Does that sound okay? Asking the local hardware companies, and does anybody want to put a donation letter together?
I can do that.
Oh, Brianna, you're wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. If you want to put that together, you can email it to me. I'll be happy to take it down to both of them.
Okay, perfect. When are you thinking, just so I like to work on timelines, when do you want to buy?
2 o'clock would be fine.
Would a week to
No, I can do a week.
thank you so much.
Yep.
Actually, if the individual that you spoke about is not able to do it, I know in the past, the wood shop at John Marshall has done projects like that with their students.
Okay.
I'm not sure what all they have happening at the time or how long it would take them to work that project in. That would be another option.
I can ask about that.
Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you both. That's great, because
he's there this
I just kind of nominated John just because he fixes and builds everything. So
That would be awesome.
appreciate that offer. Thank you, Nina. Thanks, Sarah. All right. And then,
Oh, wait, before you move on.
yes.
We can get, I don't know what kind of logo you were wanting to put on it, but we can order like decals
From the Rotary?
from Russell Hampton.
Yeah, okay.
I would hold up well enough, might have to put some, like some kind of cover.
Polyurethane or something, yeah.
But that would be easier.
Yes.
I like that
Yes.
idea.
Stick it.
Wonderful. And then we could ask if somebody donates too, if they would have a logo that they would want to, give to us. If not, I think I know a couple people that have those Cricut machines that do those vinyl stickers and, either just write Ace or Busy Beaver or something like that. So we could probably get that, but I like that idea better than painting.
Yes.
I have the skill level of stick
Well,
figures.
that wheel is not gonna be an easy thing to paint.
No, well, I was thinking like the box, we can do like an outdoor scene with grass and maybe clouds and stuff, but that's kind of easy. That's very abstract, but yeah. Very random, but now that you're talking about the wheel, when we were down at the last Rotary District training, I took a public image class, which is one of the things I sat in, and they brought to my attention, I had no idea, that, so this is actually the Rotary logo that is to be used, the all gold. They are not using the one with blue in it, so we'll make sure that we get just the solid gold logo. That's what they want to promote and branding. It's
Right.
important. It really
They just
is.
changed it a few years ago.
Did they?
Yeah.
So we might have another change coming in the future. I like the blue and gold. I mean, I'm a little, West Virginia, very nice. Okay, so last thing here, and then we're going to turn it over to our speaker because I know we want to give her plenty of time. We're very excited to hear about this topic today. But Brianna has been so gracious over the last few years to head our scholarship program that we give out. Brianna has done a lot for our club, and she has asked if anybody would be willing to take the lead on the scholarship award for the essays for John Marshall or local schools. She's very happy to lend a hand and give you some training or all the information you would need to do that. That being said, and I don't want to sound terrible when I say this, but is this something that we want to move forward with in doing as scholarships? Okay. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I know that we weren't able to last year because of COVID and I changed a lot of things. Yes.
Yeah, I think you and I had talked about it. One thing about our student program, for those of you who have been in like a community like me, it used to be we would have students of the month and they would come for a month and sit in on Rotary and really learned about Rotary. And then the last week they were there, they did their speech. And then we started with 3 weeks. And then just because of the amount of students, and we were doing 3 high schools, and we started doing 2 weeks. So they come, what we've done more recently is they come 1 week and sit in, and they come the next week and do their speech. And and then the last time we did, I think we only had 1 set of students from each school. I just think we're missing it. Like they're not learning, I don't know what the solution is, but they're not learning enough about Rotary, and we could be having somebody every month. So for what it's worth, that's my input. I don't know.
Can I suggest something?
Yep.
Maybe what we do, if someone's willing to, especially take the scholarship project, maybe we have like a group of people kind of sit down and explore what that might look like to get them more interactive with Rotary. What's gonna, like, maybe the scholarship can be reconfigured, like, you know, a different style or something, but just kind of figuring out what that student relationship can be. Like if we had a few people get together and kind of brainstorm that and then come back to the club with what they think might work. Because I do agree that like we're not getting the impact that we want with these students. So maybe just reconfiguring some things might help.
I agree.
So I'm going to go ahead and just send out an email to the full club so we don't have everybody here, and just see if we have some people that are willing to maybe put a little committee together or take the reins on this. So thank you. I think that's a great idea. All right, I'm going to turn this over to Tom. Yeah, yes.
How did we do on our fundraiser?
So Josh kind of just got all the funds thrown at him today, so I don't know if he's had a chance.
Okay, I just wasn't sure. Your friend just picked it up yesterday, or Monday.
So I know that just the day of and between the last week and the day of, we brought in 2,900. Just that last week. So, you know, obviously no, we were, and that's nothing to do with the sponsors or anything else. So,
I just turned 40.
yeah. So very, very hopeful. So to be continued on that. You're very welcome. Tom, if you wouldn't mind introducing our guest speaker today.
Okay, today I brought someone with me. Thanks, Cody, for coming.
Yes.
For Misty. No, I brought our director of nursing for the health department. Misty's been director of nursing for about 6 years. Almost 6 years. Went through a lot. I've been there almost 2 years, and she's taught me a lot down there. I'm not gonna go over a lot of the stuff here because about 6 months ago she talked, or right before COVID, I think it was, on the hand washing. So Misty's a wealth of knowledge. Misty is going to talk to you guys on Lyme disease. And she has a couple examples here today too. But Misty Merriner, she's Director of Nursing, Marshall County Health Department.
I apologize ahead of time. I'm not a public speaker. I don't like doing it. I think Tom and I flip a coin. No, he just tells me I have to do it. So I have a little bit of information here. We have some bookmarkers about tick disease, how to remove, the correct way to remove a tick. And these books are really nice. They're colored. They have pictures in them. They actually show you pictures of ticks. I'm sure everybody's aware of what a tick looks like. You don't need me to tell you. But The ticks that cause, well, Lyme's disease, let's start with that. Lyme's disease is a bacterial infection. It's caused by a bite of a tick. And usually the tick, it cycles. You'll see eggs first, and then they're a little bit smaller. They look like a speck of dirt. A little bit bigger than that is called nymph, and then it grows into being an adult. The nymph ticks are the ones that cause more Lyme's disease than an adult tick. And that's why it's so bad, because it's so tiny you can't see them. I mean, they are just, I had one on my cat and I had to take it off, and I had to take a picture of it and then enlarge it because they are that small to see if it had legs on it. I thought it did, and it did. So, but the CDC, we get our information from the CDC, and you need to use bug repellent. They recommend DEET, and I know there's contraindications with DEET. The CDC still recommends 20 to 30% DEET. You're to spray your clothes with it, not necessarily your body, but actually your clothes. And of course, you want to start at your feet and work your way up. Ticks don't fly, they don't jump. They get, usually if you're walking through the woods, you brush them on. They climb all the way to the tip of a branch, and then when you walk by, it brushes up against you, and that's where you get it. You can get them from your animals and stuff too. But usually that's what it is. And ticks live in the winter too. They live in the snow, they don't freeze. If you're out in the woods, you'll see them. They all get together on a leaf, and yeah, they don't go away. At one point we hoped it would freeze, but they don't. And we're seeing more and more of the Lyme's disease because the ticks are migrating. Our winters are warmer. They're just not going away. It's getting worse. So Lyme's disease, usually it takes about 36 to 48 hours for that tick to be on you to get Lyme's disease. But they're, like I said, they're so small, you don't even know you have it on you. You can't see it. The places you want to look is in your hair, on your scalp, underneath your armpits, in the creases of your arms, legs. With men, they see it more in the groin area. It's just a place for them to hide, and it's a warmer spot for them to be on you. So, Lyme's disease symptoms. Lyme's disease, fever, chills, headaches, fatigue, muscle joint aches, swollen lymph nodes may occur. You may or may not have the bullseye rash, they call it. Bullseye rash, it just looks like a bullseye. You'll see the bite mark where the tick was. You'll see a circle, and then there'll be another circle on the outside of it. Not everybody has that. It might just be a rash, and the rash can show up anywhere on your body, not just the place that you got bit with a tick. And it goes away, and then it'll come back. So we're trying to get a lot of doctors on board with doing prophylactic doxycycline. Doxycyclines for adults. They do give it to children, just depends on their weight and how well they do. If not, then they usually get amoxicillin. It's usually, we recommend 21 days of doxycycline if you end up with Lyme's disease. If the doctor's only giving you a week's worth, they're not treating you long enough. You definitely need treated longer. Let's see. Other signs and symptoms is arthritis. You'll see joint swelling. It can be anywhere, any kind of joint you have on your body, but it seems like it happens more in your knees than anywhere else. Bell's palsy is another one, because if it's left untreated, it gets to be a neurological disease. So Bell's palsy causes the drooping of the face, can slur your speech. It mimics almost like having a stroke. If it's still left untreated, it can cause cardiac issues. It will affect your valves in your heart to where you need a valve replacement. A lot of times, if you have Lyme's disease, it'll always be in your blood. Even though you're treated for it, it won't completely go away. sure as a lot of you know that. That's had Lyme's disease.
I saw somewhere where someone got just one shot. That's it. You ever heard of that for Lyme's disease? They got one shot.
No, it's usually an oral antibiotic where you take it by mouth.
Or maybe they didn't know whether they had it or not.
Maybe. As
Would they do one
they might
shot?
give them a steroid if they have some inflammation, but they need to treat it with an antibiotic. All right. So we've got a couple guys here that I know were at Scout Camp, and we're going to use them for examples.
Tom?
Cody and Tom, you want to
Oh,
share
you
your
did that.
experience?
Oh, see. Okay. What am I doing?
Sharing your experience with Scout Camp this year.
Oh, I was only there for a day. He was there for a week, so let's turn the spotlight over.
Actually, I was at Scout Camp and I came back with all the symptoms. I had some cardiac symptoms too. I came back, I checked every day, shower and everything, nothing, didn't see anything. Came back, was back probably 6 days and started to get all these symptoms with the cardiac. And it's usually 17 or 7 or 14 days before it starts showing this stuff. I did start to show the bullseye with all the other symptoms there. So I started on with Misty, doxycycline. I started it killed my stomach, so I had to switch to a different antibiotic. But I'm still very fatigued. It's hard for me to get up and get started in the morning. I usually get there. I'm usually at work before 8 o'clock. It's 20 after 8 before I'm getting into the office. Yeah, I'm getting up earlier, trying to get moving, but it's hard to move. It's hard to get motivated. Joint pain. I had joint pain. I had the antibiotics are working right now on me, and so is that. But being the Fix It summer camp where we were, they helped with the medicine department in summer camp. We were taking ticks off these kids all over. I took one day 36 ticks off.
Oh my
They
goodness.
are the size of a pin. Take an ink pen, put a dot there. That's what we were seeing here. Where they attach or embedded. Now, my man asked the one thing about the one-time dose. If it's just on, just attached and off, they may start with just a prophylactic doxycycline. That's probably where the person gets the one antibiotic. But it's a killer. I shouldn't say killer. It can be.
It definitely can.
The symptoms are terrible. A lot of it is the grass cutting. That I don't think the grass was cut enough times before everyone started to arrive. But what the area wasn't treated. And that being said, the camp there, that's anywhere out there, out in public. You're out in the woods or anything, grass isn't cut, so they're fresh. So, but the symptoms, they're nightmare, and they're probably gonna last 6, 8 months, maybe longer. He said it's gonna be there all the time.
Was this the week that I saw you and you were calling me DJ? Oh, okay. That's one of them.
Tom, how long ago were you diagnosed?
He wasn't diagnosed because he refuses to go see the doctor.
Oh.
Thanks, Misty. She's true.
How long ago though was when you had symptoms?
I started to show stuff from camp 6 days, 7 days after. So in that area, so the week 2 week when you start to show symptoms.
June 1st?
June 28th is when we were there till July the 3rd.
So just recently,
Yes.
very recent, okay. Now, after the, I apologize, the antibiotic that you take for a month, then do they follow up and
are you prescribing more medication if you still have symptoms?
If you have symptoms, I would highly recommend going back to the physician or seeing a specialist that specializes in infectious disease. Because too many times it's not getting taken care of, it's not being treated.
So my doctor sent me to infectious disease. And first of all, he said, a lot of doctors only prescribe like 7 to 10 days, and that is enough.
Right.
But I did 21. And my rapid care, they said to get a blood test July 1st, which when I finished. And she talked like if I still was positive, I'd do more toxic. But he's like, no, you're going to be positive because you have the antibody. Right. But I don't have any new symptoms. Like I'm getting better. So he's like, so now I'm considered post-Lyme. Post-Lyme syndrome is what I have now. But anyway, so there's no medicine now unless things start to get worse. So it can definitely come back. But he also said, studies show that if you remove it, if it ticks on you for at least 24 hours, because that's what it takes, I guess, and you remove it very soon. I don't know, it's not like they have a timer on it. But anyway, if you take 1 dose of doxycycline, that studies show that it's stopping the disease again. And studies, so who knows, may or may not be true, but it's worth a shot. So I have 2 doxycycline sitting in my house that I carry with me, just in case.
Right.
Like when I went on vacation, they went with me. Does it work? I don't know. But if I get one, I will sure try. Let you know.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt anything.
Right.
And like you said, it's always going to show up in your blood that you had Lyme's disease. And you can actually get bit with the tick again.
That is not
and
fair.
be active.
That is
definitely
Right.
science.
I mean, really, you go through all this stuff, you should be okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, when you get it again, your symptoms will be worse.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like, are they obviously going to be better or worse?
They are worse. Absolutely. And we had a gentleman last year that was in his 40s that ended up being hospitalized. He could not remember. It took his memory away, his cognitive ability. He ended up having the valves replaced in his heart because he let it go for months, a couple months, and that's all it took. And it just really wiped him out.
Well, I had Lyme fog, and it was awful. And it was last week or a week before I was in here, and I was talking, and all of a sudden my mind was totally blank. And it's been 6 weeks. Yeah, also, yeah. It doesn't happen very often anymore, but it was really bad there for a while.
Yeah,
And it was like, wow, it wasn't fog.
It's an inflammatory response that affects your whole body. You know, it just isn't one thing. And it's not right where the bite's at. It just goes through everything.
I had a toy, and I'm curious about this because we talked about the bullseye. She's had some health issues, and remember after some of the stuff that she did, and she said, look, and there definitely was a bullseye. And she went to the doctor, she was tested, and she knows that there was that she even knows that there was a tick there. She took it off, but she tested negative.
She should have gotten retested after that.
Well, she tested after she found the bullseye.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, sometimes there's 2 types of antibody. One's an IgM and one's an IgG. Let me think. The IgM, they call them bands. That's what we look for in a blood test. With the bands, you have to be positive for 5 of the IgG, and you have to be positive for at least 2 with the IgM. The IgG, they should test you within 30 days, and you may be negative. But that IgM should be able to detect it. If it doesn't, then I would recommend having it done again, because the IgM may be positive after the 30 days. Because IgG, they like to do it before 30 days, within that time frame, because that's just moving the infection.
And she just had the test last week, and the bullseye's almost gone in a sense.
Yeah. Do you know if they're treating her anyway?
They did give her an antibiotic. What they gave her, I don't know. And I don't know how, if it was 7 to 10 or.
Yeah, I would suggest to her to get treated again, or to get tested again. you know, especially if she starts developing some joint pain or extreme fatigue, you know, fevers, night sweats, anything like that that's out of the ordinary. Seems like people that have autoimmune diseases too are more susceptible to having more symptoms just because it's an inflammatory response to your body.
Question?
Yes.
Two-ish. First, so when you get the bullseye, can you see like a trail, like falling lymph nodes or anything like that? Like, I know that's weird, but I saw, I had, I forget when it was, when I worked at Oval. And bullseye on the leg, all right, but you could see like a trail going up. It was weird.
I've never seen that
It
before.
was almost like a rash. Okay, I was just
I mean,
curious.
I've never seen it, but I would never tell somebody, no, that's not the reason why, because you see things all the time that there's always somebody that's different than everybody else.
Yeah, I was
You
like, because
know?
that was weird. There was a clear bullseye, and it almost looked like it. I don't know. It just looked like
It almost sounds like a blood infection.
Right.
And it
Yeah.
could have been, you know. We do have the Lone Star tick that they're starting like Rocky Mountain spotted fever. We've had a couple people that's had that. We don't see it as often, but it does happen.
And second, do the ticks, when it comes to your pets, Lyme disease, do they affect them differently than us?
It's about the same.
Okay.
You'll see them laying around. You might see their joints a little bit swollen. Our dog actually got it when we came back from vacation. We had somebody watching him, which, I mean, it wasn't anybody's fault. It just happened that way. And he was really concerned. He's like, I don't know what's wrong. He won't eat. He's just laying. And I told my husband, I said, I bet you he's got Lyme's disease. And sure enough, we took him to get tested, and he had Lyme's disease. And he got treated with doxycycline too. So, but he's fine now.
Yeah, my dog was exposed to it. First, second week of May, he got exposed to it. It was really weird. I was taking him up for his, yearly appointment to see, getting caught up on any shots he was due for the year, and then the vet told me, that everything's fine, but would you like to have him tested for Lyme disease, because they said they've had several dogs come in and test positive because the fleas and ticks are really bad this year. I was like, might as well do it. I mean, just in case.
Right.
He was not showing any signs, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't have it.
Right.
So what happened was, I went a half hour, like, wow. And then it's like, sorry, it's supposed on he test positive. So they got him on the doxycycline. He took it for about 3 or 4 weeks, I think. They had a 30-day supply, but there's there's one's a big tab and one's real small. He had to take both of them twice a day. I'll tell you one thing, it took his appetite away. Yeah, and I give it to him with his favorite feeding when needed, because he knew the bill was he's that smart. So
yeah, they're pretty smart.
Anyways, 2 weeks after the fact, they gave him like another shot, I think. And from there, they said, to finish up doxycycline. So finished that up, and he's fine now. I mean, he's just as fine as could be. But that dog showed no symptoms.
Yeah. I'm feeling like that too.
Yeah, the biggest side effect he had from it was it took his appetite away, and being it's a medicine, he did vomit occasionally. I mean, that's just when you get on medicine, that can happen. And it happens with humans, and it happens with pets too.
Yeah, dogs and cats both can get Lyme's disease.
Oh yeah, they're probably more exposed to it because
Right.
they're outside.
Yeah, so if you have a pet that goes outside and comes back in, which most people do, you want to make sure that that pet's treated, with, I hate to say insecticides
usually
or
a form.
pesticides.
Yeah, I usually give my dog something one time a month.
Right.
With flea and tick treatment, but
Yeah.
they said even with that, I mean, it's not a guaranteed factor, because this year it's worse now. It's worse this year than it has been in several years. So.
Yeah, this is tis the season for us. We do reportables on them, and we investigate the Lyme's disease, and then we report it to the CDC. That's where they get their information from. But to remove a tick, there's little tick removers out there now. So, or you can just use a pair of tweezers is what they recommend. And you want to make sure it should be standing straight up. You know, when you pull that tick, try to pull it straight up because it's really important that you get the head of that tick out too. Because if not, then that head gets stuck in the skin. And I know some of you probably know that sometimes that happens and it's really hard because it's embedded itself. But you can end up getting a nice infection from it if you can't get it out. So if you can't get it out, I'd recommend going, you know, someplace Med Express, Rapid Care, or somewhere for them to help get that out of there. And we don't, if you want a tick checked, I would suggest the extension office. We don't do that. We don't send them away to see if they have Lyme's disease because you just know you're going to take a chance. And it's the deer tick, the black leg tick is the one that causes Lyme's. So, and poor little deers get them horrible.
So one thing I wonder is, like if you go out, if you know that you're in a place where you're exposed, okay, so like if you're working out in the yard or whatever, like when I go in, I put my clothes in the washer, wash my clothes, and I straight into the shower. But as a shower, like if I get a shower, I use one of those little boobies. Is that gonna wash the little critter off, or is he gonna be still stuck on there when I get out of the shower?
It depends. I'm going to tell you that ticks, they form when they attach to you, and I'm going to start itching. When they attach to you, they actually have cement in their mouth. And when they bite into you, they have like tubes. So they bite in, and they put the tubes in there, and then they spit that cement. So that makes them hold on pretty tight.
I was just, because mine was up here.
Yeah.
So if it was on there and I got a shower, he was working his way up probably from somewhere.
Right.
But I just wondered if they, being resourceful like they are, if they somehow can like hang on through a shower.
Sure they can. They won't drown. Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the things they suggest when you come inside, put your clothes in, you know, separate area, make sure you get a shower and wash off. If you're home, they suggest, you know, of course, you're going to put your spray on when you go home or, you know, before you go outside and put it on your clothes so it's not close to your skin. You want to make sure that you are, like, you can do your yard and like use 7 Dust or pesticide spray in your yard and stuff too. Because even though like you're using stuff on your cats and dogs, they can still get on them. You know, they're not supposed to be able to get into them, but they will climb on them and they'll carry them into your house and stuff too. Do your yard. They suggest that like your clothes, I don't know why you wouldn't put them in the washer, but they say put them in the dryer for 15 minutes on hot a cycle to kill them, if that heat's hot enough to kill them.
Well, my family doctor said one problem is, like if I'm out working here and I know, you know, and I go in and I can shower and I wash my clothes, whatever. She's like, you're just as likely to get it walking from the part of the house.
Right.
And who thinks you don't check then? It's like, oh, I just brought groceries in, do I have ticks?
I know, that's true too. Yeah. Most definitely.
We had a child at the Levy Center get Lyme disease, and because our kids are nonverbal, they went to like 3 or 4 different specialists. I mean, to Pittsburgh, to Morgantown, and no one could figure like what was going on with the child because they're having extreme behaviors. They're lethargic and constantly holding their ears, which was like we consider like looking at new behaviors, or it was considered a new behavior that he had done, and just wasn't himself at all. It was actually a local doctor, but she looked at his eye and realized like his pupils weren't dilated. I don't know if like there was something with his pupils that weren't dilating the correct way, and then when she realized with that and with his ears, she figured out that it was Lyme's disease and tested him.
That's good.
But he was down for the count for, I would say, like 2 or 3 months, just because, I mean, our kids have a difficulty with their immune systems anyways, and so when you add that onto it, it was really hard for him. And I don't know what they had said something about the pupils. I don't know why they figured it out that way.
Not many doctors would probably find that.
I know.
No, it's very hard because they can't tell you what's wrong with them.
Right.
So it was, yeah, I always recommend her.
We've had a lot of kids, and we've had some kids with paralysis too, where they can't walk because of their joints are so affected.
what do they do for a Lyme disease test? Is it just a blood test? So very simple. Why wouldn't more doctors do that just regularly?
They should, and especially in our area, you know, in West Virginia, we're really high with Lyme's disease. This time of the year, usually late spring and into the summer and even into the fall. We'll get a couple like in the winter time because people still get bit in the winter time too. But this is just the time because everybody's outside and the kids are playing. And most people don't think to, you know, spray their kids or put bug spray on them unless it's mosquitoes. You don't think about ticks.
You know, the hardest for me at this point, and one of the hardest things is, and Tom, you'll find this too, I'm sure, is I had it, and people think, oh, you had Lyme disease. And I don't want to be a whiner, you know, like I don't walk around going, and I've just stopped it. I caught myself on that.
You are.
I am so tired. But you can't, it's like you sound like a whiner. And people are like, well, you had it. But like now all of a sudden you're better. No, I'm not. I mean, I'm better. Was better.
Right.
Than I was. But it's awful. It is absolutely awful. And I mean, I'm a pretty positive person and I've struggled with my attitude. If I am, I mean, I know other people are. But I think one of the hardest things is people don't get it that most people don't get it, that you had Lyme disease, but you still have the symptoms.
Right. Yeah. Even though you've had it, you'll always have Lyme's disease.
Right.
Yeah, it's always going to be in your blood.
Right.
And with you already having arthritis, it's going to make it that much worse because it's an inflammatory response that affects your joints.
Right.
So, and you know, when it rains or when the weather, even when it's high humidity, it just about kills you.
Oh, a couple days ago, I couldn't move my elbows. My elbows don't hurt from my. I'm sorry, I have arthritis. It doesn't bother me. But it was like it just hurt to move. And last night too in the night, it's like, man, this is really not fun.
No, not at all. And that's why I feel bad for the kids that's getting it.
Oh,
you know, because they're going to have that forever. You know,
right. And how many more times are they going to get with little suckers?
Right, absolutely. Because they have furry pets and they love to cuddle and,
right.
you know, sleep with their animals and, you know, and play. They don't care. So, any other questions?
Thank you so much. That was very, very, very informative.
I'm going to leave here going like this.
I have more books if anybody didn't read any. And more pamphlets and more bookmarks too.
Yeah. Oh, you know the worst is like I'll be scratching and saying, you know, the older you get, the more I'm like, yeah.
Ticks and stuff.
Tom's like, look here. What's here? Is that a tick there?
Thank you so much. I'd like to talk
If
about
you're going
COVID
out and you know you're going out to the woods or high grass and everything, if you're gonna go golfing like me, you're gonna be in the rough all the time. Long pants, long sleeves, you can treat your clothes with it's called permethrin. And it treats your clothes good for like 6 washes.
Permethrin?
Yeah, and that's what they use with the animals too. It's
Where
an
you get it?
ingredient.
You can get it Bellers, you can get it Pro Bass, whatever it is now.
They also have a wash too.
You can probably get it at Walmart, probably stuff. But you treat your clothes, it'll do for like 4 to 6 washes in that set of clothes. People hiking, or Sarah hiking and everything. Buy some of this, treat the hiking clothes that you do with that, use it for the season. Checking yourself. I said I checked myself all the time. Things hide, they were small. Didn't even know it was there. So just be precautions on yourself when you come in and check yourself. Like Brad Paisley's song.
Check somebody else. That's right, more fun.
Check. And it's hard. Checks.
That was a
Kids
cute
come in,
song.
Look at the kids. Your partner, check your partner. They can't see their whole body. Just look at it. always look at your surroundings. Yeah, I'm in the woods, or I'm whatever, just coming from car with groceries, you can get them anything, take a look. But keeping the skin covered, so they can't attach the stuff.
Ladies, like with the long hair, I know when I go out to pick berries, somebody probably laughed at this on me, but my hair is pulled up on top of my head. I have a long sleeve shirt on, my hands are covered, I wear long boots, I keep my clothes tucked inside my rubber boots and stuff, so anything you can do when you're gonna be out there, it's good to do.
Thank you both so much. That was
Yes.
really, really informative, and I think something we all needed to hear. We haven't actually experienced it ourselves. Did anybody else have anything for the good of the club? All right, well, thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you.
I won't be your next week. You won't be here next week.
Sam.